Dr. Brown, I'd like to, oops. Dr. Brown, I'd like to nominate Dr. Todd Beadle for president.
There is a motion on the floor to nominate Dr. Todd Beadle as president. Any other nominations? Seeing that there are none, Dr. Beadle, you will continue to carry the torch for the School District of Brown Deer.
We still need to do.
We still got to vote. Got to vote.
Do we? Okay, so all in favor? I'm sorry. All in favor of Dr. Beadle as board president?
Aye.
Aye.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
And no, I think I have to abstain from voting. I don't know if I can vote for myself. I can? Okay, yeah. All right.
Well, motion carries 7-0. Congratulations, Dr. Beadle. And I will turn the agenda over to you for nominations for vice president.
All right. Thank you, everybody, for the vote of confidence and vote for president again. Thank you very much. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll help lead this board to the best of my ability for this next remaining year. So thank you. All right. So now let's go on to the next part of our agenda is the election of the vice president. I know, but that means somebody's, Lisa, you got mute. Perfect. All right, so now we go on to is the election of the vice president. Would someone like to make a motion for a candidate for vice president? Wait a minute, hold on. Am I on mute? No, I'm not. All right, would somebody like to make a motion for vice president?
I'll make a motion, Ms. Leah Ashley for vice president.
All right. Do we have another nomination for vice president? I'd make a motion for Dorinthia Robinson. All right. Any other candidate motions for candidate? All right. We'll take it to a vote. All those in favor of Fleta Daniels Ashley, raise hand. Oh, okay.
We got
I'm sorry, I did right. Fleta Daniels Ashley, do you accept the nomination for vice president?
I am going to respectfully decline the nomination of vice president.
Okay. All right. Ms. Robinson, would you accept the nomination of vice president?
I do accept the nomination for vice president.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. All in favor. Thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. All in favor of Dorinthia Robinson being vice president, raise hand and/or aye. All right. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. Welcome, Ms. Robinson as vice president. All right. All right, next, let's go on to our election of our treasurer. All right, would someone like to make a nomination for treasurer?
Dr. Beadle, I would like to nominate Ms. Anita Peterson for treasurer.
Okay, Ms. Peterson. Any other candidates or any other nominations for treasurer? All right, Ms. Peterson, would you accept the nomination for treasurer?
Yes, I accept the nomination.
All right. All right. With all being said, all in favor of Anita Peterson as treasurer would raise hand and/or aye.
Aye.
All right. Motion carries 7-0. Ms. Peterson, thank you for accepting the role as our treasurer. All right. Our next one is for our clerk / secretary. All right, is there any nominations for our clerk?
Dr. Beadle, I'd like to nominate Belita Ashley Daniels. Daniel Ashley.
Daniels Ashley.
All right.
There we go. All right, any other nominations? All right, hearing and seeing none. Ms. Ashley, do you accept the nomination for clerk?
Yes, I will accept.
All right, all right. With that being said, all in favor with raised hand or aye for Felita Daniels Ashley? All right, motion carries unanimously, 7-0. Thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Welcome as being our new clerk. So now, with that being said, District of Brown Deer, we have a new cabinet president, Dr. Todd Beadle, vice president is Dorinthia Robinson, our treasurer is Anita Peterson, and our clerk, Felita Daniels Ashley. All right, so thank you very much. All right, let's go on to our next item of business, which is, hold on one second, trying to go in between multiple screens. All right, let's go on to now to our district communications and our district administrators report. All right, Dr. Brown.
Thank you, Dr. Vito. Welcome to our two new board members, Ms. Lisa Walker and Ms. Dorothea Macon. Thank you for running and for serving our amazing school district. So welcome, welcome, welcome. If there's anything you need, please do not hesitate to call us in the office, either myself or Ms. Ross. So again, welcome. As far as the district administrator's report is concerned, last week I had an opportunity to attend the Spring WASDA conference, a great networking and professional learning opportunity for superintendents all across the state. We also completed the Department of Public Instruction Get Kids Ahead initiative grant. So our district will receive $10,000 to expand mental health services in our district. Also attended last Friday our amazing fine arts exhibition. Our students did a wonderful job with their artwork, and I saw the artwork and I got an opportunity to hear the band play. I did miss the choir, so I will have to catch the choir on next year. But as far as arts was concerned, that was our middle school and our high school. So it was a wonderful opportunity for our students to display their amazing talents. And then also our spring play. Thank you for all the teachers who had an opportunity to work with our students for the play entitled She Kills Monsters. But as always, our students do an amazing job with the play. So that was all last Friday. I also attended the village board meeting, met with a group of students on last Saturday to hear their concerns. I'm also on the SWSA executive committee. This morning, we interviewed 2 finalists for the executive director position in the Greenfield School District. I'm participating in our literacy coordinator interviews. As you all well know, Holly Renaud is retiring after a long time of providing service to our school district. And finally, and sadly, today I did support the Dotson family with the loss of Jeremiah Dotson, a Brown Deer alum who was a 2021 graduate. So that's just a few of updates regarding the district administrator's report. And if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer. Okay, moving on to the district showcase. First, I would like to congratulate Casey Cannonberg. Our very own Brown Deer High School junior was selected to represent Brown Deer in the Museum of Wisconsin Art's upcoming exhibit called The Weight We Carry, a teen perspective on resilience in West Bend. This exhibit speaks to the strength to persevere through the different pressures today's teens experience. If you have not seen Casey's work yet, I highly encourage you to check out this exhibit. For board members that are here today, it should still be on the other side in the hallway. So if you'd like to take an opportunity to go around on the art hallway and see Casey's work, we are proud of Casey and want to say congratulations. And I do not see Casey on this evening. So if you see her out and about, please give Casey a great big round of applause and congratulations. Next, I would like to acknowledge and honor our head football coach, Mr. Rob Green, announced his retirement after 21 years of being a head coach. Coach Green led Brown Deer to 3 division championships, 2 conference championships, won a WIAA playoff game, and was the 5th team in history to win a playoff game. Coach Rob coached hundreds. I can't find my second page. Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Coach Rob coached hundreds of young men throughout his 21 years, including 2014-15 star Zach Bond, who later was drafted into the NFL. He currently plays for the New Orleans Saints as a linebacker. Coach Green's overall record was 96 wins, 112 losses. Mr. Green, the district thanks you for your heart, your determination, and accomplishments over the past 21 years on the football field and also in the classroom. He has done an excellent job molding this program and developing the love for football for our young student athletes. He has taught the art of sportsmanship, fair play, and values that many young men take with them as they leave Brown Deer. Coach Green will continue teaching high school business education in Brown Deer, as well as continue as the head track coach. And Mr. Green, I have to say, watching you in action with our students as you support them on a daily basis is unmatched. And so we know your heart is in it. You are passionate about the work and you love what you do. So we are grateful and thankful for your service in the capacity of not only being a head football coach, but also a teacher. And a teacher and coach kind of go hand in hand, right? As we influence students to be able to do their best work. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Mr. Green to say a few words. You want to unmute for us?
Oh, I'm unmuted now.
Okay. All right.
Well, thank you very much. And I appreciate the kind words, and it's that time. And it was not an easy decision by myself and my family and my wife. And I truly thank this community for the support, and from administration all the way down to the parents and the youth committee, the organization that we started up when I first got here, has grown a lot of great athletes that flowed through our program. And those athletes allowed us to become a power in the Parkland and Woodland conferences, along with a lot of great assistant coaches over my tenure that helped build that program to be, a very formidable opponent in the 414. And we had a great time doing it. And I think the program's in a good position to move forward. We have a good youth program, and the next coach coming in will keep us moving forward. And there's a lot of great kids still wanting to play this sport. And so I look forward to the future. And again, I thank you very much for your support and your kind words. And I'll be in the lower level of the high school if you ever need me. And so just knock on my door. Thank you.
Yep, we know where to find you.
All right, and Coach Green, hey, my man, that voice right there, that is the true voice of a football coach. All right. And hearing that on the sidelines, Rob, hey man, I appreciate everything that you've done for all of these young men that have come through this program. You've had some really, really good ones that have not only went on to play football, but also basketball and track and baseball and everything else like that, or whatever have you. You definitely instilled that Brown Deer pride, that Brown Deer way into each and every one of those young men and young ladies that actually tried to help, that actually worked as assistants and doing all the rest of those different things and stuff. So Rob, man, kudos, my man. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Dr. Beto, could I say something to Coach Green?
Most definitely.
Coach, just thank you. I mean, you took me in, and appreciate all that you've done, all that you've shown me. And you don't like kudos, but a lot of people don't know all the stuff you do behind the scenes and how much I appreciate that, because you go way above and beyond what people really understand about you as a coach and everything that you do. You're truly gonna be missed. And yeah, I just say thank you, man. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you again.
All right. You are welcome. And next, finally, we have Aramark. Tonight, we honor and thank, Michelle is here representing Aramark. But we thank Airmark, who works hard every day to ensure our students that they don't have to worry about eating breakfast. School breakfast is a critical way to end childhood hunger. Over the past 2 years, since the outbreak of the pandemic, Airmark continued to work with us to feed families no matter their learning environment, and despite ongoing challenges with the pandemic, supply chain issues, and staffing shortages, Airmark still found it within themselves to make it happen. We are happy to present Airmark with the Breakfast Hero Award on behalf of the Wisconsin Department of Public Instruction, School Nutrition Association of Wisconsin, No Kid Hungry Wisconsin, and the Hunger Task Force. Michelle, we cannot thank you and your staff enough for showing up every single day to make sure that our students and families were fed and had nutritious meals to continue the learning that we so desire for all of our students and families. And so thank you so much to you, and please convey this same message to your staff, as no one person can do this work alone. And so thank you very, very much. And I don't know if she's on. She was back here by the Fork Farm, so I don't see her on the, are you here, Michelle?
She's standing next to me to listen, so she's hearing it through the speaker.
Okay. Does she want to say anything?
Sorry, Molly Borton is on. I don't know if Molly wanted to say
Oh,
something.
is Molly? Okay, Molly?
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
I'm sorry. I didn't see you, Molly. Sorry.
Oh, that's okay. That's okay. Yeah, no, thank you so much. This is sort of a little bit of a surprise, but I know Michelle was gonna show off our new hydroponic garden, which is a really exciting purchase in the past months that we got some training on from Fork Farms is a local company out of Green Bay, Wisconsin. So we're really excited to be growing local lettuce to feed to the students in Brown Deer. But thank you, Dr. Brown, and to everybody within the district that supports Airmark, and especially to Kevin, who works with us on pretty much a daily or weekly basis to support us and make sure that we have the tools within the district to do what we do. And I know Michelle is on or listening or within the district to show the garden a bit. But we so much appreciate certainly her and all of our hourly staff that comes in every day to feed the kids and certainly make a difference in their lives. So thanks so much. We love being in Brown Deer.
Thank you, Molly. And that ends the district showcase for this month. Moving on to principals update. We have Mr. Griffin, Ms. Pitchford, and Ms. Brown. We can start in that order. Or I saw Mr. Griffin. I saw his. Oh, yeah. I saw Mr. Griffin early. Mr. Griffin, are you there?
Dr. Brown, let's start with Mrs. Brown.
Pittsburgh.
I'm in the conversation right now with Dennis. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's go to the next slide. Middle school. All right, Ms. Pittsburgh, you're up.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. Here are the Brown Deer Middle School updates. As far as staffing, we're happy to welcome back Mr. Vienendahl. He is teaching in STEM for the remainder of the school year. We've had Ms. Hartenberger, who is a long-term substitute teacher. She was covering for another staff member who was on maternity leave earlier in the school year, and so now she is transitioned over into teaching Spanish for the remainder of the school year, and we're looking to interview for a permanent Spanish teacher for the upcoming school year. As far as meeting updates, we're continuing with our instructional teams and PLCs, really focusing on those priority standards and assessments to better use data to inform instruction. And our SST grade level meetings, which take place on a bi-weekly basis by grade level to really focus on those social and emotional supports. And we tie in our psychologist, our social worker, our counselor, along with the grade level team and administration to really coordinate home visits, check-in, check-outs, in-person family meetings, and whatever other supports and resources are needed for some of our students who are just demonstrating various needs. As far as academics, our main focus since before spring break, one of them has really been the forward testing. We're finishing up forward testing this week. shout out to the entire middle school, especially Ms. Griffey, Mr. Richter, Mr. Hayes, and the entire team who pitched in to proctor and support students. Jay and I also, we were in classrooms proctoring as well, so it really was an all hands on deck approach, but we got through it and we got that done. And beginning with fourth quarter, we did make that adjustment to our flex schedules. And we have noticed teachers have reported, and we feel like students as well have reported really just being more focused during their core content classes. For sixth grade and eighth grade, flex happens after their lunchtime. So we're able to provide students with more of a recreational opportunity right after lunch, just so they can take some downtime to have their socialization and get some physical activity going before they go back into the classroom to end the day in a core content class. We've really seen some great success with that having been started. So these are our updates as of right now. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pitchford. We can go back to the elementary school. Mr. Griffin is back on with us. So Mr. Griffin, take it away.
I apologize for being kicked off and being under the weather this evening. For staffing updates, we are currently working with district office to outline the needs and the probability of the vacancies being filled for now and going into next year. Just like the middle and the high school, we've had in other schools across the district, we've had problems with staffing as well, which has had impacts on our day-to-day processes. In regards to meeting updates, PLCs are still functioning at 2 times a week, but we are shifting it to more of a focus of aligning standards work. Teams are meeting also to align the social studies standards that would give us a good foundation for next year. As an entire school, we did finish our collaborative book study on trauma. And then for academics, just like in the middle and the high school, scholars are finishing this year's forward assessment. We're collaborating and evaluating the Bridges and Envisions math pilots. And then the district office is in support of having teams collaborate over the summer to solidify the standards so that can help drive us into a standards-based report card that is focused on student learning and not just the grades that students receive.
Thank you, Mr. Griffin. Any questions for Mr. Griffin or Ms. Pitchford? Okay, well, we will move on to Ms. Brown at the high school.
Good evening, everyone. So for staffing needs at the high school, we're in creating our master schedule for the upcoming school year. So just kind of projecting what we may need. We still need to fill some special education, cross-categorical positions. We have 2 paraprofessional positions, an art teacher, 2 business teachers, 1 Spanish teacher, an administrative assistant, and we're also at this time reviewing how our student support structures to see if we need to make any changes. As far as meetings, we are definitely continuing our PLC work, but our staff definitely knows that for the summer, we are going to focus on more professional development, really diving into achieve the core. That's looking at standards vertically, horizontally, especially in the areas of ELA and mathematics. So teachers are really strong with understanding the standards above their grade level and also below. It helps them in meeting the different needs in their classrooms. And then as a staff, we're also looking at our procedures of our day in and day out routines and just making sure that we have procedures in place to, just to make sure that our days are running very smoothly. As far as academic and testing, we were in testing season, but we have completed ACT Aspire, ACT, and forward testing for the high school. I just want to give a shout out to Mr. Richter, our new district assessment coordinator. He did a great job collaborating with the counselors, with myself, the assistant principal, teaching staff, our coaches, just to really make sure that our testing plans were very well organized, student-centered, and really creating a testing environment where our students could excel. Thank you, and that's the update for the high school.
Thank you. Any questions for the high school?
Board members, any questions? All right, hearing none. All right, well, thank you very much. Thank you very much for the updates. All right, let's go on now to our item number 4, public comments. Now, Ms. Robinson is going to, and if you want to have a public comment, you'll need to have your name and your address and what your comment is. Remember, it's a comment, not a question, and it needs to go into our chat. And Ms. Robinson is actually monitoring that. Again, if you have a public comment, please go to our chat function on your Zoom and your name and your address and what your comment is. And Ms. Robinson will be monitoring that right now. So if you have it, please go into the chat now. And as always, we'll give this another moment for anyone that actually would like to be able to make a public comment. Ms. Robinson, any comments as of yet?
Not at this time.
Okay, we'll give it another 30 seconds. Okay, all right. Well, let's go on down to our next item, which is our consent agenda. Would someone like to make a motion for our proposed for our consent agenda?
Sure, Dr. Beadle, I'd like to make a motion to
All right.
approve the consent agenda, including the minutes of the March 8th, 2022 special board meeting, the minutes of the March 22nd, 2022 regular board meeting, the schedule of voucher payments via check, ACH, and wire transfers in the amount of $815,054.06 in the general checking account and the food service account, including funds 10, 21, 27, 39, 47, 49, 50, 72, and 80. The April 26, 2022 school safety drill update, the 2022-23 employee benefits insurance renewals, the 2022-23 dental and vision insurance renewals, the 2022-23 short-term disability, long-term disability, and the life insurance renewals, the Neola policy revisions, second reading as presented tonight.
All right, that was a nice mouthful. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beal, I will second.
Is this Lisa Walker?
Yeah.
All right, Ms. Walker, your first second. All right, good job. As our brand new board member. So a motion has been made and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor with raised hand and or aye. All right, motion carries unanimously, 7-0. All right, let's go on to our next item is our facilities and grounds report. Ms. Meitzke.
Good evening. I will keep my report brief this evening. Over the past month, we really worked on cleaning the classrooms over spring break. I also have been working with IT to work on assessing our high school classrooms and what needs to be done to update them from, in some cases, chalkboards and upgrading them with Mimeo boards. And then the majority of the rest of the month was spent on security upgrades and improvements that the board was interested in pursuing further. Are there any questions that I can answer from the Board of Education?
Board members, any questions for Ms. Meitzke?
Yes, I just had one question, and that had to do with a Mimeo board. I had never heard of that. What is a Mimeo board?
I'm gonna defer to Miss Turner on that.
Yeah.
Ms. Turner, would you be willing to
Yeah.
answer that? Thank
I
you.
love them. They're great.
Yeah.
They're great.
That's all right. We can tag team for sure. It's an interactive whiteboard, is what it is, and so it takes what is a short throw projector, and then it allows the teacher to interact with it, touch it, and manipulate it a bit. The classrooms that we were looking at are math classrooms downstairs. So those are some of the rooms that probably would benefit from the greatest investment in the technology, especially given the curriculum. Middle school all has interactive whiteboards, and they've had the teachers love them and find really good use with them. So.
Okay, thank you. I saw that in the report, and I did not know what that was.
Good
Yeah, thank you
question.
for
I
that.
should do a better job of explaining that. Thank you, Ms. Daniels, Ashley.
All right, and the other great thing about Mimeo boards is that they're portable. So like a smart board is stuck on the wall. Mimeo, you can take it and you can move around with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right. Any other questions? Lisa, can you mute? Yeah. Sorry about the echo, everybody. All right. Let's go on to next to our food service. Mr. Clement.
Yes, we're actually going to have a more complete food service update when we get closer to the renewal process. You'll have to approve the fourth year contract with Aramark. We're not quite there yet on a budgetary standpoint to share that with you, so we'll do that. But I did also want to just mention, obviously tonight we had a little bit of a prelude for the board and for anybody who was here to see the one of the fork farms that we have, which is one of the hydroponic growing systems that we recently purchased as part of our food service funding. And so we were showing that off tonight, and it's kind of timely because we've been contacted by DPI to remind us that we have, of course, an excess fund balance in our Fund 50, and they've given us the price tag now of what we need to come up with a plan to spend, which is about $560,000, which is a significant amount of money. So I'm finalizing the details of a plan that I have to submit to DPI this week. I've also talked to them, and they do understand our situation where we have completed two major referendum in the last 10 years where we have basically rebuilt our kitchens from scratch. So we don't have a ton of absolute needs, but we will find things to do with those funds. Again, that money is tied. We're obviously seeing a huge increase in it, as many school districts are, because of the free supported meals through the federal government during the pandemic, which will continue at least through the end of this school year. So again, every month we do turn a profit on that and add to that fund balance. So with the things that we're looking at, this is nothing the board has to approve tonight. I just thought I'd let you know some of the ideas that I'm sharing. And when we come up with any of the purchases that hit that $25,000 board threshold, I'll be bringing those to you, of course. But we've already approved the pod system for the high school, which should be installed this summer. We're also looking at replacing our walk-in freezer here at the high school. And once we kind of get used to the fork farms this year, we are looking at the potential of actually building a farm of 10 or so of them so that we can have continuous. So the ones we have right now at the middle school and at the high school are really, they're perfectly in use, but they're one units. Obviously you can only create so much, but it's also to show the students what's actually happening. But we would have another location in the building where we would just basically use as a growing farm and have a year round or school year round supply of fresh
Kevin, you froze up. Kevin, Kevin.
Yeah. Kevin.
You froze.
I'm sorry, did it mute on me? I'm sorry.
Yes, you're frozen.
Okay. Oh, I was frozen. Okay, sorry. Where'd you lose me? We're doing the fork farms. I was mentioning that we're expanding that potential of having more in the district. We're also looking at purchasing a food service van and some other smaller pieces of equipment for the kitchens, including like sandwich presses. We're going to replace a dishwasher, milk coolers, things like that. We're also looking at adding soft serve machines, which are compliant with the the Smart Snacks program. So hopefully the kids will be excited about that. And then we're also looking at investing some of the money at increasing the freshness of the food. So we'll be able to spend a little bit more money on the quality there. And then we're also going to be going through the process of sub-metering our kitchens with the electrical service, so that we can, by doing that, we'll be able to actually charge the electric bills of those particular facilities to Fund 50, because we'll have isolated them from the rest of the building. So that's a way of kind of offloading some of the costs from Fund 10 and moving over to Fund 50. So the whole plan, as I rattle it off again, it's about $560,000. We're hoping to start spending it down this year. We won't get it all done because of the referendum pieces, but we'll be working on that diligently. And we also know that as this year has gone on, we have more money to spend in addition to this that'll be reported next year. So we'll be working through that. I don't know if there are any other questions from the board.
Board members, questions for Mr. Clement in relation to food service? Kevin, are we still looking at purchasing a van or vans?
Yes, that's one of the items that I was going to buy one van, and I had it budgeted for that and operational costs through that. So there's a purchasing program through the state that we have access to that gives us the best, basically a pre-negotiated deal for the new model year vans. Because honestly, to try to get something right now is a little difficult. So I'm getting in line to, as soon as that opens up for the 23 model year, we'll be getting a new van this summer, most likely. So
Kevin, remind us.
Go ahead, Ms. Peterson.
Okay. Remind us again how long we have to spend the $560,000.
Well, yeah, they would like you to spend it as quickly as possible, but again, we don't have the need. It's, if we needed to replace a kitchen, this is what we would do, but we have just gone through that. So I have talked to them and kind of explained that, and so I think, and they understand that almost every district is kind of in this boat where they have a lot of excess funds. So I think as long as they see a plan and process, there is a threshold where, and they don't say what it is, but if they don't see enough progress, they could potentially prevent us from getting additional claiming until we start to spend out. Because they really want you to have about 3 months worth of cash flow, which would be in like the $200,000 range for us. And so we're going to be if we don't do anything this year and then we add on what happens over the course of this year, we would be well in excess of that. So I think we're going to be very diligent about trying to spend that down starting this summer, replacing equipment, looking at other things that we can do to either improve the program or add things that the students will appreciate, or updating equipment that will make the operation more efficient.
Sounds good. Thank you, Kevin.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Clement in relationship to food service? All right. Thanks a lot, Kevin, for that update. Let's go on to our item C, our social emotional learning. Ms. Antandari.
Good evening. Thank you, Ms. Turner. Ms. Turner's driving for me today. So good evening, everybody. This is a update about what we're doing in the district with social emotional learning. Next slide. And so I just want us to be reminded about what really drives us, and it's our district's pledge to equity, specifically the last paragraph where it says that together we will be the change that will heal, restore, and achieve justice for all. We are a community and people of action. Together we will find a way. It's the Brown Deer way. Again, a reminder that when we do the work that we do, we always want to keep at the forefront what are those skills and strategies that we are providing for teachers. And we also want to always know what that looks like. So this is just another visual for our teacher self skills and the practices that correlate with them. For this year, we continue to focus on the 3 signature practices that should be happening in every single classroom in the district, that for every class a student enters, they will have a welcoming ritual. They will have the opportunity for engaging strategies, brain breaks, and transitions, and that they are always ending with an optimistic closure. So our cell data for January through roughly the middle of April is as follows. So one of the things that we do is that we're really trying to be strategic about doing restorative circles and having mediation so that we can, number one, decrease our referrals. And we know that as we decrease our referrals, that results in a decrease in suspension. So at the elementary school, for mediations for the month of January, they have 57. For February, there were 48. For March, there were 32. And for April, there were 13. In the middle school for mediations, there were 45 in January, 32 in February, 22 in March, and 16 in April. And at the high school, 40 in January, February, we had 52, March 60, and April 35. For circles at the elementary, in January, there were 16, February 11, March 8, none in April. There were no circles that were conducted at the middle school, and at the high school for January, there were 23, for February 35, March 23, and April 15. So with that, we also want to focus on those programs or those different strategies that we use to address behaviors. So we continue to use CPI, which is Crisis Prevention Intervention Training at the elementary school. Today, we have 10 staff members who are trained. At the middle school, we have 8 staff members trained, and at the high school, we have 7 staff members trained. Our seclusion and restraint data to date for seclusion and/or restraint at the elementary school, we have only had 1. The student does have an IEP. At the middle school, we have not had to use seclusion and/or restraint at all. So kudos to the middle school. And at the high school for seclusion restraint to date, we've had 4. And of those 4 students, 2 do have IEPs. So what we know we need to do better at is that we really need to shore up our multi-level systems of support, specifically for behavior. And so we want to always make sure that we have a strong tier 1. And so right now we're looking at the things in tier 1 that are specific to behavior that we have. And as we all know, tier 1 is what we refer to as the universal. This is something that's available to all students. So for the middle high school, we have our continued partnership with Pearls for Girls. We have our partnership with Strive 365, and we are going to be piloting our DESA screener, which is a social emotional learning tool that we will be using. And we're going to pilot it specifically with our students that have started at the Village Academy. For tier 2, we have student support teams that we have in every building. We use check-in, check-out for designated students. And at the middle and high school, we have SAG groups, which are student assistance guidance groups for select groups of students. And we are also looking to do functional behavior assessments and behavior intervention plans for both students with special education, as well as students who don't have IEPs. For tier 3, what we have is that we have launched Village Academy specifically for middle school, grades 6 through 8, and we continue to partner with community partners such as Jewish Family Services and New Leaf Therapy. Next slide. So today I just want to focus on a couple of partnerships to give an update. I'm going to give some information about Pearls, and then also for the I Am Purpose, which was a school meal mentor program specifically for Black/African American high school students. So for the Pearls program, these are a few of the components that they consistently focus on for the entire school year. They have the College and Career Coach program. This is only for juniors and seniors. And what they do is that they match the students up with a coach who is in a career that is of interest to the young ladies, and they work with them throughout the school year. And then they also have a program called Money Coach, which allows the students to participate in monthly financial literacy coaching sessions. They learn about things such as budgeting, saving, banking, and how to invest in the future. Of course, there is an incentive that students can earn, but in order to get the incentive, they have to be in attendance consistently. And here's some few things that they've done monthly. In January of 2022, the attendance increased. They also had new young ladies to join Pearls. The young ladies appreciated the fun days that they had, team building activities to get to know each other. And they also participated in a life skills class the semester before. And so they received awards for participating in a life skills class. In February 2022, Ms. Ferguson, who is actually the program facilitator, these are her words. She just talked about seeing how the young ladies had trouble asking for assistance, but as the month wore on and they were able to cultivate a relationship, the students started to feel more comfortable with her. And she was happy that the communication was building up and trust was building up between her and the young ladies that she works with. For March, she has the students to identify a topic that they are going to present on and to do a culminating community service project. So working with them to actually create the proposals and to identify the resources that they needed was something that they really focused on. They focused on having leaders for each project so students could be the teacher and model for their peers. And then they also set goals and they meet monthly to discuss where they are with the goals that they have selected for themselves. Some of the field trips they've had the opportunity to take, they went to the Brady Corporation Wednesday, February 23rd. They also had another trip on March 24th called Beyond STEM. And Thursday, they're going to be going to Alverno to visit, get information about STEM, and they will also visit the nursing wing that they have there. And these are just a few of the field trips. It's not all of them. And then here is their participation data. And so I have it listed by grade. So where you see 2, that means that she has 2 groups. So for sixth grade, she has a group A, a group B. So this is the data just to show that in January, she had 20 young ladies enrolled, but she had 16 who were consistently active. For her second group, she had 24 enrolled with 14 consistently active, and we go down all the way. So the total is that for the month of January, she had 172 young ladies enrolled, but of that, 134 were active. For the month of February, there were 161 students enrolled and 141 were active. And then for March, 152 enrolled and 140 were active. And the honorable mention that I would like to share is that Ms. Ferguson encouraged her students to submit for the YMCA Changemakers Project. And of the young ladies who submitted, 2 of them won. And so what will happen is that, first of all, the young ladies did a project based on segregation in Milwaukee. And so for their efforts, they will be flying to Washington, D.C. in June, where they will talk at the YMCA Youth Governors Conference. So I think that's really amazing. So I really wanted to make sure I shared that. Then The next thing that happened is that we had the I Am Purpose program that ran for 8 weeks. It started February 23rd and actually concluded last week, Wednesday on the 20th. The group facilitators were Mr. Muhib Dyer, Mr. Manan Sabir, and Dr. Ramel Smith. And this program was designed to support males of color. They had a 3-pronged approach. Intellectual growth, social emotional support, and physical fitness. And once I speak with the facilitators and have a more solidified list of what the outcomes were, I will share them at the next cell update. But we do have a few pictures. So just to see how engaged the students were was really amazing. And then the next update we have is the Village Academy. And so first I want to say thank you to the district for answering the call and improving the Village Academy. And we started this to address the needs of students who are currently challenged with navigating their current school environment. So the students do attend school on a modified schedule, they have academics, and they have social emotional learning. Additionally, they get community education from community leaders. And these are individuals who specialize in working with students who may experience varying forms of trauma and need assistance with learning to self-regulate. Again, they started on April 11th. Currently, we have 10 students enrolled, and they are under the leadership of Mr. Tyrone Brown, who serves as our Dean of Cultural and Community. And we have Mr. Johnny Dinsmore, who is social emotional support educational assistant, and they are currently housed in room 21 down in the high school. The community educators are Mr. Kamanzi Adari and Mr. Muhib Dyer. And at the end of school, the students will present a personalized portfolio, which focuses on cultivating a positive self-brand. To date, there have been 0 discipline referrals and suspensions. And for SEL, I wanted to highlight one of our staff members who is new. I call him one of our unsung heroes. His name is Mr. Dion Bullock. And he was hired to actually help support a student that we have at an offsite alternative location. But he also has been assisting in the high school with the CTE teacher to make sure that students who typically may struggle have the opportunity to be involved and engaged. And I just want to say that he always goes above and beyond and is a true advocate for students. So I just wanted to spotlight Mr. Bullock. So our next steps is that we're going to do our DESER screener with our Village Academy students. We're looking to hire a permanent teacher for Village Academy. We are going to get our team together to see how we could utilize some funds that we received from a mental health grant we were awarded to help increase our pupil services pipeline for providers. We need to hire a SEL coach for the elementary school. We need to do a reflection for our continuous improvement plan related to disproportionality. And we're going to do some revisions for that for the 22-23 school year. We're going to look to create a training schedule for trauma-informed care. And we also are going to complete our multi-level systems of support for behavior for tiers 1, 2, and 3. Any questions?
All right, board members, if you have questions for Ms. Antandari right now in her SEL program.
Dr. Bita, may I just add just a caveat to Dr. Antandari? Yep, I'm gonna claim it. To her presentation.
Girl.
In that the I Am Purpose piece with Muhib and Dr. Ramel Smith was a free program for us as a result of a grant they had entered into with another organization who they were unable to deliver in terms of finding the students. And so Dr. Smith reached out to me and asked if this was something we would be amenable to for our students, and it has worked out really well. So I would be remiss if we didn't recognize and acknowledge Mr. Smith for calling us and thinking about us to be a partner in this work for our young men. So thank you to that entire team And to Dr. Antondari, there it is again, for the amazing work you're doing with the SEL team. So thank you so much.
All right, questions? I know that was a lot of information, but it was a lot of good information. Anyone have any questions?
I have a question, and I'm gonna claim it too, Dr. Kandari. Can you, and I don't know, can you go back over to the slide with the multi-levels, the MLSS? Okay.
Yes.
Now, the one question I had was about the DESA screener. We're gonna pilot it on the village and then it will eventually be general?
Yes, we're looking
Okay.
to launch it. So initially we were gonna launch it for Q4. We had a small group of teachers that we were gonna pilot it with, but life happens and we realized that we were in the second week of Q4. So we thought we still wanted to pilot it and kind of see how it worked. You know, it's supposed to be very user-friendly for the teacher. And then we would have some data to kind of identify what are some areas we might need to focus on when students are communicating with us, what their social emotional learning needs are.
Okay, thank you. And then one other question. I'm just wondering if this, because I see a lot of the stuff from with the check-in, check-out and the FBA, the BIP and everything from PBIS. And I know our PBIS was the Brown Deer Way. Is this gonna be, because I like what you're doing, are we gonna incorporate it somehow into that, or are we pulling from that?
No, so these are just a few things. These are just things that I know for a fact that we do. I just really wanted to highlight to everybody what the difference was and what they look like versus the tiers. Because some people might say, oh, only so many girls go to Pearls, but like you can see, she, you know, from month to month, she has a high number of girls. But the thing is that if you are in grade 6 through 12, you can sign up and it's universal. So it's something that would be available to everybody. So I was just trying to highlight what we have that's tier 1 versus tier 2 versus tier 3.
Okay.
And it's not everything.
Okay, all right, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Follow-up. I just had a follow-up question on, let me just first thank you for just the data. I like the presentation of the data in terms of the level of involvement, particularly with the Pearls program. That spoke volumes across the board. My second question has to do with the DESA. I don't know what that means, and if you could give just a real high level of what a DESA screener is,
so
that would be wonderful.
And I started to leave the slide in, but it was like really, really full and wordy. So we were looking to our pupil services team. We have been working to identify a social emotional learning screener / curriculum since the beginning of the year. So we all know that social emotional learning is really a framework, but we also understand that we have to meet our educators in the middle because they are the ones who are going to do this work consistently. So our I don't even want to call it a concession, but our compromise is that we wanted to try to find a curriculum that they could implement so they knew that they were doing the 5 strands of SEL, you know, the social awareness, social responsibility. And so there are several curriculums and or programs that are available. So we really did a deep dive and we narrowed it down to 2. One was Panorama Education and the other one was DESA. And so the consensus of the team was that they like DESA because they have a screener. And so the students will take a screener. It asks them specific questions about social emotional learning, but it's short. And then based off what the responses are, teachers can identify different resources or different ways that they can make sure they're focusing on whatever that component of social emotional learning is. So it's the Apsher company, and I don't remember what DESA stands for, but that's the name of their screener. So it's a screener that we will use, and then it's a curriculum that we are going to purchased so that all students have the opportunity to integrate SEL into what they do in the classrooms. And it's a good tool for teachers to be able to use without feeling like we're adding just one more thing.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that explanation, Dara.
Any other questions for Ms. Antandari? Dara, actually, I have one question. How many pupils do we have currently in tier 3?
I don't know, you would have to talk to I would have to talk to my school psychs. Most of our tiers are focused on academic, but in terms of like, for example, it varies from building to building depending on what they use. So I couldn't necessarily say like how many students at the middle school are doing check-in and check-out. You know, it could be 15, maybe it's 20. It really depends on the building. At the high school, Mr. Winston does a really good job of doing mediations and circles. So because he is involved in that work, he doesn't necessarily have to use that check-in, check-out tool, but he does have groups of students that he works with on certain days of the week. I believe he has about 2 groups and they average about 7 to 8 students. And at the elementary school, before Mr. Rohn came over to work with the Village Academy, he had a 3rd grade group, a 4th grade group, and a 5th grade group that he worked with at least 1 day a week.
Okay.
And that was his tier 2, like his SAG group.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you.
I have just one more question. Why did we not have circles at the middle school, the SAIG groups, or any? Was it a conscious?
So Mr. Tucker is our SEL support specialist at the middle school. And so often when he does mediations, they do a lot of resolution within the mediation. So he didn't necessarily have to kind of have the circle in the, kind of talking piece aspect. So that's how come he didn't have circles. But another thing that we are going to do is that we had the opportunity to meet with Shauna Perry Finch back in March. And so we are hoping that we can work with her for their upcoming school year to do some training with not only our teachers, but to model for them so that they can lead restorative circles and mediations in their own classrooms. So that's another thing that we have coming up for the new school year.
Thank you.
All right. Anyone else have any questions for Dara in relationship to SEL?
And can I just make one comment? The Pearls information that you had, Ms. Ferguson gives us a site partner report. So this is her report. So this is all her. She does like amazing work. So I don't have anything to do with it other than we just connect and she lets me know what's happening.
I just have one other quick question. So does the Pearl, do they come here? Do they have like an outstation here or do the girls go?
She's an actual site partner. So she has a office and a space downstairs.
Nice. Thank you.
So quick question I will ask in terms of the programs, like Dr. Kelsey Brown mentioned how the mentoring program for the boys was free for us. The I Am Purpose program was free for us this year. Have there been any conversations about continuing that program? And if so, do we have the funding to actually pay for it? Because I know that those guys are pretty popular in a lot of the schools around the city. So just wondering about that.
We haven't had our outcome meeting yet, but when we have that meeting, if that comes up to the forefront, we definitely will engage in that conversation, but we haven't had the meeting yet. They just completed last week.
Okay. And then I know that I had forwarded some information, excuse me, in regards to a bit of funding. Is that something that the group may be able to, do we have a program that you think could be benefited by those funds? Were you able to take a look at that at all?
Yes, I started. Look at that. Go ahead, Dr. Brown.
I started looking into accessing the application today. So I got there were two pieces I was able to register us so far. So I will be able to go back in on tomorrow and figure out what the next steps will be. We're going to do our very best to complete the application and see what that process brings for us.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, any other questions? All right, thank you very much, Dara, for all of that information and giving us a quick update on SEL and kind of where we're at and the direction that we're going. Seems like we're going in the right direction under your leadership. And I'm quite sure that all of the students that need those services are definitely appreciative of that and those parents. All right, let's go on to item D, our new hires. Mr. Clemick?
We have no new hires this evening.
All right. Well, Mr. Clemick, let's go to resignations.
We do have one resignation. We do Ms. Wendley Whitley as the Village Academy instructor. I do just want to point out through, and the board can see the letter of resignation that it was not tied to the program or the students that she was working with for those few days, but there were other considerations.
All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the resignation of Wendy Whitley?
Dr. Vito, I'd like to make the motion to approve the resignation of Wendy Whitley as a middle school teacher effective March 14th, 2022.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. The motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion. Dr.
Thank you
Vito.
very much. All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Motion has been made and seconded. Any conversation?
Sorry, just to clarify, I believe I heard March 14th. It should be April 14th.
Okay. On our motion sheet, it says March. So,
yeah, it was
so April 14th?
April 14th, yes.
All right.
Friendly amendment if you can.
All right. All right. April 14th. All right. With that being said, any conversation with the exception of moving the date from March 14th to April 14th, 2022? All in favor with raised hand and/or aye? All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. We wish Ms. Whitley good luck on future endeavors. All right, let's move on to our item. The next item is item F, the 2022-2023 teacher contract language. Mr. Clemick.
Yes, as we're preparing over the next several weeks, we'll be distributing teaching contracts for next school year. Over the course of the year, we've had conversations with the board about adjusting some of the language. And so what you see before you tonight is a reflection of that request. The contract has been reviewed by Bob Butler as our attorney, and I did also share it with some members of the BDA who were interested last week to get their feedback and just kind of explain the situation of what the goal was. The main change is that we are adjusting the liquidated damages schedule and reducing the costs significantly. The one caveat to this, and I'll be sure when we communicate it to staff that hopefully they'll understand it, and I shared it with the BDA groups as well, is that because teacher contracts have to be mutually agreed upon between both parties, the teacher could decide to remain under the old contract language and for whatever other reason. So we might have teachers with two different versions of we may have two different versions of contracts for a while until we get all the teachers to adopt. So we're going to keep track of that in the business office. But that just legally they have the option if they want to stay on the old one versus the new one. So, but we are presenting the new one as we're hoping most teachers will adopt this language. So because you don't, as a board, approve, you don't approve all the renewals generally, and that's fine. Once we hire a teacher and if we don't go through the non-renewal process, the assumption is that we're renewing them. And so this is the language that all new teachers will see. And this will be the language that we'll present as option A for our returning teachers when those contracts are distributed.
I have a question for you. How long do you think this process will take in order to get everybody under one contract?
I don't know if there'll be any pushback at all if anybody doesn't want to switch for some reason. So we'll see what the number of contracts that are returned in this method or using the new language will be. It'll either be someone will have to change their mind down the road, or they would be leaving the district at some point, retiring, whatever the case may be, and then the new teachers would come in with the new language. So I'm hopeful. What we know, again, I was pretty, I was very transparent, I thought, with the BDA, and they didn't have a lot of questions, just explaining why we were making the change. And again, there is while the calendar changes slightly, the amount that the teacher would be liable for drops significantly. So I'm hoping that most will adopt that.
All right. Any other questions for Mr. Klimick? All right. Would someone like to make a motion to approve the contract language?
Dr. Beadle, I will make a motion to approve the 2022 to 2023 teacher contract language as presented.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Walker. A motion has been made. Do we have a second?
Dr. Beadle, I'll second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Peterson. Motion has been made and seconded. Any other further discussion before we go to vote? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor with a raised hand and or aye. All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. All right, let's go on to our next item, item G, appointment of school board member for CESA 1 Board of Control. Now, with that position, that is a person that would have to be a board member that would represent us at CESA 1 meetings. I believe those meetings are quarterly, if I'm not mistaken. I know, Ms. Macon, I know before when you were on the board that you were our delegate for the CESA 1. Is there anyone that would be willing to volunteer to be our CESA 1 representative? All right, Ms. Bacon. All right, is there anyone else? All right, so with that being said, would someone like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Ms. Dorothea Macon?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to approve the appointment of Dorothea Macon for the CESA 1 Board of Control pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 116.02.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. The motion has been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion, Dr. Beadle.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Motion has been made and seconded. Any other further discussion before we go to vote? Hearing and seeing none, all in favor with raised hand and or aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously 7-0. Ms. Bacon, you came back on the board and right into committee work. Good job, good job. All right, we always want board members to come in with their boots laced. All right, sounds good. All right, let's go on to our next item is item H, appointment of school board committee assignments. Now we have our WASB, our SWSA and legislative, our Parks and Rec, and our Ed Foundation. All right, so currently we had individuals that were members of these committees. Is there anyone that would like to represent and be our delegate, not our delegate, but our appointment for our WASB?
Dr. Beadle, if it is okay with my fellow board members, I'd like to continue on in that role.
Okay, all right. Ms. Ashley is volunteered for WASB. Anyone else? All right. So with that being said, Ms. Felita Daniels Ashley is our candidate for WASB representative. All in favor with raise hand and or aye? Yeah, we still would need to vote on if we ask it. Yeah. All right. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. So Felita, thank you very much for being our representative for WASB. Let's go on to our next is our SWSA and legislative. Anyone that would like to be our representative for that? I'd like to make a recommendation for Miss Stacy Smith. We can't hear, so you know what?
I
So we
will
can vote on it.
respectfully decline, but thank you for nominating me.
Oh, Ms. Smith. All right, anybody else that would like to do SWSA? I don't know, Ms. Walker?
If you could give me some more details on what that is.
I'll talk to you about it. I'll get you everything you need.
I was kind of looking at the Park and Recs. This might be more my, but if you think I can handle it, okay.
All right, so Ms. Walker is volunteering for our SWSA legislative part. Anybody else? All right, all in favor will raise hand or aye. Ms. Walker, thank you very much for coming on the board and getting right to work, all right? So Ms. Walker will be our SWSA and legislative person. So now let's go on to our Parks and Rec. Now, I think we had, who's Parks and Rec? Who's our representative from Parks and Rec? Felita? Anita? Okay. All right. All right. So does anyone want to, in relationship to Parks and Rec? Stacy Smith? Okay. All right. Anybody else? All right. So Ms. Smith would like to be our representative for Parks and Rec. All in favor with raise hand and or aye. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. All right. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. And now our last is our Education Foundation. Anyone willing to volunteer for Ed Foundation?
So I am currently the representative, but I will gladly allow someone else the opportunity if they want that exposure to that organization.
Anyone else? All right, well, Ms. Robinson, would you like to continue?
I suppose that I will.
Well, thank you very much, Vice President. I appreciate you. All right. All in favor with raise hand and or aye for Ms. Robinson to continue to be our representative. All right. Motion carries unanimously 7-0. Thank you very much. All right. All right. So now all of our board members that have committee assignments, thank you very much for volunteering your time to be able to do that. It's a very critical piece of us being a board, to have us a representative that is going to be able to get that information and break it down for us and be able to report back out to the entire board in relationship to any of that information that's being shared. So again, thank you very much and greatly appreciate it. And we'll be able to go from there. All right, let's go on to our next item. Item I is our community meeting discussion. Now, board members, with that being said, remember with this, we're just going to talk about what was discussed in our board, that was discussed in the community meeting, nothing that was not part of that community meeting, number one. Number two, if you have comments and things, then that's fine. If we go into questions, we need to kind of watch what these questions will potentially be, because again, remember, we have our 8 steps plus some other initiatives that were potentially discussed and were talked about came out in our community meeting. So again, remember, just comments, and let's try to be as positive as possible and look for our strong points and the things that we're doing, that you heard, and that we're currently are trying to do, or any other comment from our community meeting. So with that being said, board members, comments from the community meeting.
So I just want to say that I was happy to see the level of participation, which is quite high for what we typically get from activity for the community in interaction with the board. So it was good to see that there were folks who were there from the families as well as the students who were there supporting each other as well as the support of the cabinet being there as a part of that as well.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Any other board members have comments? I just actually just like to say that, you know what, I was really impressed with our students and how they came and represented themselves in relationship to concerns that they had. But I also think that with that being said, being able to reiterate that, you know what, HR issues are things that we cannot that we cannot discuss, and, you know, and those are legal issues and everything. So, you know, but I do like them to being able to take that initiative to be able to voice their opinion. I had other conversations with the senior body president, the junior body president, the sophomore president, and the freshman president, and I really like that interaction. They actually potentially have some really good ideas as well too, in relationship to safety for the building and being able to do that. And just, you know, I guess the other biggest piece that I took away from it is that, you know what, I'm glad that our parents did come out and ask questions. And hopefully we're able to answer some of the questions, and some of the questions were things that we're going to implement, or things that are a part of our planning process to ensure the safety of our grounds facilities as well as our students. Any other board members have any comments or things they would like to say in relationship to our community meeting? Ms. Smith? No? Oh, it looked like you had your hand thing going. Okay. Okay. All right. Well, thank you. All right. Anybody else in relationship to the community meeting? Okay. All right. Thank you. All right. Let's go on to our next item. Oh, hold on 1 second. I'm so sorry. All right, let's go on to our item number 7, to our board reports, our SWSA and legislative update. Ms. Ashley.
So Dr. Beadle and fellow board members, I will be brief tonight. I did attend the SWSA meeting that was held on April 12th. And during that meeting, you know, there were a number of things as we prepare for the end of the school year that took place. They passed the budget for the 22-23 school year. They passed the calendar of meetings for the upcoming year. There are a number of recognitions that were made, and there was a guest speaker that actually presented to the group who was actually very good. And he was the gentleman, John Kersey, was a person who actually shored up a number of you know, stakeholders, business people in the community, and had everybody sign this letter asking that the budget surplus, asking that they sign a budget surplus letter that would encourage the governor to send the monies back down to school districts. Outside of that, there was some legislative kinds of conversations, pretty much around the vetoing of several K-12 bills that were brought to the governor's desk. And that was pretty much what was discussed in that meeting. The next meeting is June 14th. It will be an in-person meeting, and it will be at the Elmbrook School District. And Lisa, I can talk to you about the logistics of that meeting, and then just talk about, you know, kind of the meeting to kind of give you you know, just an overview of what it's like. It really is a nice meeting with a lot of information. And so I've been really, really happy to be able to serve the district in that capacity.
All right. Thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. All right, then let's go on to our WASB update. Ms. Ashley?
Not a whole heck of a lot there. A lot of information that gets discussed at the SWSA meeting gets, pretty much distributed through WASB. So without belaboring this report, I would just ask that board members just go to the website because there is a chock full of resources, particularly for our members who, not our new members, but our members who might be joining in, our new board members. I've learned a lot of really, really, really good stuff. And I would just suggest that people just take a peek and go on that website for some of the resources that WASB has to offer. And that concludes my report for this evening, Dr. Beto.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Ashley. Let's go into our Ed Foundation report. Ms. Robinson.
So we just finished up the application portion of the scholarship program for this year. So we have now those applicants and we are reviewing those applications. Those decisions will be made at our next meeting, which is also the night of our annual meeting, which is on May 2nd. So May 2nd at 5:30 is the annual meeting for the Education Foundation. I encourage you all to join in if you are able to learn what we have been doing for this past year and our plans for the upcoming year as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson, for that update. And let's go on now to our Parks and Rec, Ms. Peterson.
Yes, the meeting was held first Tuesday of this month. We learned that all programs are set for the summer programs, the Brown Deer Pond program. Brown Deer Pond is open as well, starting June 5th through August 14th. Registration opened for everything on April 18th. One thing I wanted to note this year for the 4th of July, there will not be a parade. Instead of the parade, it will be an opening type ceremony. All the details were not talked about or discussed, so more information will follow as it relates to that. But yeah, there will not be a parade this year for the 4th of July, unless things change between now and that time period. But it seems like it's pretty much set that there will be an opening ceremony as opposed to the parade. There is no May meeting this next month, and so the next meeting will be on June 7th. We have changed the time, so instead of the 6 o'clock meeting start time, the meetings will begin at 5:30 going forward. And that concludes my report, and I do as well thank you for allowing me to serve on this committee. It was very enlightening, and Board Member Smith, I will certainly help you as you move in that direction to begin your serving in this capacity.
And I just want to add a little bit on the parade with being on that special events committee. We would have had to have started the planning for that months ago prior to knowing what COVID was going to do this year. So no, there will not be a parade this year.
All right, thank you very much, Ms. Robinson, for that. Man, that's always is usually one of the highlights of the 4th of July. Is for us to be able to line up and be able to be part of that parade and stuff. So, well, hopefully next year we'll be able to do that. All right, our next item, committee members. If you are a committee member that is coming off of being a committee, could you please kind of mentor the individual board member that is actually taking your place on your committee and kind of let them know exactly what's involved, what's entailed, meeting dates, and also being able to potentially introduce them to the committee as you come off. Okay. All right, let's go on to our item number 8 is our board planning calendar. April 29th is a professional learning day, so there's no school. May 10th, there's a special board meeting in the middle school commons area at 6 o'clock. May 20th is a professional learning day, there's no school. May 21st is the high school prom at the Mitchell Park Domes at 6 o'clock. That's to be exciting. May 24th is our regular board meeting in the commons area at 6. And May 28th is high school graduation in the Novak Family Fieldhouse. And May 30th is Memorial Day, holiday, and no school. All right, let's go on now to our item number 9. Would someone like to make a motion to move us into closed session?
I can't hear.
Okay. Here we go.
Okay.
Motion to enter into closed session to consider the strategy for crime detection pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute.
Ms. Macon, hold on for 1 second. Somehow I think you're popping in and out. Could you check to make sure that your headset is plugged in correctly or all the way? Okay, want to try it again, Ms. Macon?
I can't hear.
Okay. Okay. I could motion to enter into closed session to consider strategy for crime detection or prevention pursuant to Wisconsin State Statute 1985 1D. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay.
Everybody, I heard that. The motion has been made. Is there a second?
I will second.
Thank you very much, Ms. Robinson. Motion has been made and seconded. All right. Ms. Robinson? Well, I'm sorry.
Okay, so roll call. Yes, I'd like to take a roll call. Okay. Daniels Ashley, aye. Macon? Peterson?
Aye.
Robinson?
Aye.
Smith?
Aye.
Walker? Aye. And the ayes have it. We'll move into closed session at 7:38 p.m.
All right, we're getting ready to move into closed session. Those members that are from the community that are on here, thank you so much for attending our board meeting. Enjoy the rest of the remainder of your evening while it is still light outside. Hopefully our weather will get a little bit nicer for us instead of so much of this cold, and we'll be able to go from there. So thank you very much. And we're about to go into closed session. Enjoy the remainder of your evening.